I am joined now by one of, if not the star of the horse racing documentary, the Netflix series Race for the Crown, Michael Iavarone. Michael, welcome. How are you doing, buddy?
I am doing great. How you guys doing?
We're doing great, man. And look, your style, the pizzazz, you and Jules just taking over the show from episode one. You have entertainment tonight, taking tours of your house. How has life been since the documentary's been released?
It has been an absolute whirlwind. The last 2-3 weeks since the show came out has just been fantastic. I mean, we've done so many things we've never done before. We've met so many people. We've gone to so many events, and I really, really was thrilled to see the effect it had. The Kentucky Derby had record numbers, and that was really why we did the show in the first place.
Well, one of the comparisons was when F1 did their series, it brought a lot of new fans in. And of course, with horse racing, one of the tricky parts is unlike, you're watching football or baseball and you can make the connection to the athlete. How do you get that connection with the horse, with the trainer, with the owners? And do you think this show is going to help with that? Get those new fans?
I think what we try to do is try to show the young generation that horse racing is cool, right?
Yeah.
They were always under the influence that horse racing was, 80-year-old guys that have been gambling $2 their entire life, sitting with a cigar in the grandstand, blowing smoke on everybody. And we tried to show that it's a party, it's an event, it's a gathering, it's very social. And I feel like the Netflix production really did a good job of showing that. And right down to Frankie Dettori drinking the champagne on the yacht, right?
Sure.
I think they just did a really outstanding job of saying, hey, racing's cool.
Yeah. You got the cool lifestyle. And now we talk about style. Take me through this, brother. You got the glasses, the suits, the flash. Are there specialized suits and outfits for each occasion? Do you have a closet through this stuff you just rotate through? Take me through it.
Well, I've come to the conclusion that I no longer buy horses for races. I buy horses for occasions, right? So we buy a horse with the purpose of we're going to run in the Pegasus World Cup, right? And from the second we get the horse, then comes the fashion development side. And we literally have now purchased horses for events, and it's been so much fun for Jules and I. And we have done a really good job of engaging our friends and getting them in the game. And we travel out in a big group now, and they're all young and they're all having the best time of their lives with it. It's been fantastic. And the fashion is crazy for us and crazy for me. It's a complete change from what I used to look like and used to be like. But I'm having fun with it, and that's all that counts, right?
Absolutely. You're owning it, and you have that personality, and people want to be a part of that. They're like, wow, who's this guy? Rather than, like you said, the stuffy old dude who's chomping on a cigar, right? And mix
like
it up.
Stuart said on the show, exotic.
Exotic.
Not Joe Exotic, I hope, but exotic.
Yeah. Little less than that. But now, of course, 2008, yeah, Big Brown won the Derby, won the Preakness, and now you're looking for that next wave. And I saw on your Instagram stories, you said you have a few runners that you're going to be letting loose soon. Tell us a little bit about it. What can we expect?
So I felt that our part in the storyline, and I think a lot of people questioned why we were in the show. And I think our part in the storyline was an interesting angle. And I don't know if it was picked up by everybody, but what it really was about was I experienced that in 2008, and it was before I had met Jules. And my girls were very young kids at the time. So they were there, Jules wasn't. And I try to reminisce with the girls, my daughters, about the experience, and they just don't really remember it. They were, all of 9 and 7, and they just didn't understand the pageantry, the experience, the magnitude of what winning that race was about. So what Netflix tried to portray was this just inner burning to get them and Jules back, right? And I've experienced it. So I was saying that I want to get them back. But with that, we wanted to show how difficult it is. Not only do you have to overcome, a 15,000 full pool and have 20 in the starting gate, but then you have to overcome the 20 in the starting gate to win. But just to get there alone, you have to go through this just crazy amount of pressure to get them to the races that are going to lead up to the Kentucky Derby and get them the bonus points necessary, but more importantly, keep them healthy and sound and everything that it takes to get there. And then you say to yourself, but not only are you competing against 20 others, but you're competing against owners that essentially could buy the entire full pool if they wanted to. And what I was trying to show is that people think I'm the big guy and I have all this money, but I'm a little guy in comparison to Mike Rapoli. And,
Sure.
John Stewart's a little guy in comparison to Mike Rapoli. But with that, driving around in Ferraris and taking private jets and all that other stuff, saying, well, there's levels to this, right? And I think that where it really came together was the end. And it was no longer Iavarone, it was no longer Rapoli, it was no longer Stewart. It was the small guy that had Mystic Dan that came out of nowhere, that won and beat the Goliath, right? And beat Mike. And I feel like that was exciting. And it kind of said, you can come in with 100 billion and still not win. And you could come in with, 100,000 and win, or vice versa. Look at finally this year, who won? Sheikh Mohammed. And how many years has he been trying to win? And how vocal has he been about winning that race and how much he spent to get there? And I'm going to say 100 million is on the short side of what he spent. I'm sure he spent more to try to win this race. And he finally got it. And I am sure with every stitch of my knowledge in this game that when he won that race, it was worth every dollar he had spent in the past to get there. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to try to portray the guy that won it. And the interesting part of the show was I was the only one on the show that had won it. And that's from the owner side, and that's from the jockey side and from the trainer side, right? I mean, so if you look at it from that angle, I was the one that had the experience, and I was trying to say, Jules, I got to get you there. Girls, I got to get you there. It's an obsession. I have to get you. Not because I was doing it for me, because I've been there and I've done that. So I want to do it for them and experience it now again, because I want that thirst. You ask a lot of the athletes, and what was it like to win the first Stanley Cup? It's incredible. What was it like to win the second? It was even more incredible because this time I went in with my eyes open.
Right.
And now I could really devour the experience. So when I went and I spent that money for that horse, I knew that was more than top dollar. I knew that the odds of winning the Florida Derby were not great. I knew the odds of getting in the Kentucky Derby Starting Gate were not great. And I knew the odds of winning were even less than that. Right. But you have to start somewhere. And I decided that I was going to start later in the game and get close to that point. So I purchased the horse after his first race as a 3-year-old. And I had, in my mind, had taken out some of the risk of knowing if this horse had talent, because I know he did run a very fast number. So in my mind, I was saying, okay, I'm going to remove the risk of, is he good enough? And now I'm going to say, is he good enough against these kind? And then is he going to stay healthy all the way and get us there? And that was what my approach was. So my part of the show was, I've been there, I've done that, but I need to do it again. And it's an obsession to do it again with the family. And I am going to try to throw my hat in the ring and spend what I consider to be a lot of money to try to compete with guys that can spend ungodly amount of money, and it's not a lot of money to them. And that was where my role was. And, for me, my only chance of getting back there is to do it the way I've always done it. I bought Big Brown after he had run. I had bought Cut Vision after he had run. So every other horse that's ever gotten to the Kentucky Derby from me, I've bought them the same way. And it's been the same model that I've used. And I won't change that, because I just know the math doesn't math well when you're trying to get there, if you're going to try to buy yearlings that have never raced before.
It's a fascinating strategy, and just another great piece of that documentary, because there are different ways to go about it and to get to that Derby. And to your point, do it for the family. It's that extra storyline. So, Michael, where can we follow this journey for this new batch of horses on that eventual journey back to Derby success? All over your socials?
Yeah, it's going to be on my socials. So I'm always in the market for horses that have run already. I don't like to jinx anything. I've picked up a couple more in the last few days. On my Instagram, I try to share as much of my life as possible. And I'm always out there telling the world what I got running. But I never like to say it before until I get in the entry box, because you just never know. Right. But I think I have a couple of talented horses that we've just picked up. And they should be running in June. And I've done a reasonably good job of spreading them around the country. So I have a couple in California. I have a couple down in Florida. I have a couple in New York. Okay. So I'm going to try to play that game. But my real fishing is going to be late December, early January, late 2-year-old, early 3-year-old year. And, God willing, the show gets approved for a second season. We're very hopeful. The show's done extremely well. And, even through it, we've had, we've been contacted by producers and a couple of networks to do our own show as a spinoff of this. So we might have something super exciting to announce, and in the very near future about that.
Wow.
And I think it'll be a little bit more about Jules and I and my business life, and a little bit moved away from the racing side, because I think the racing side is going to get picked up by Netflix again. So I want to kind of keep those separate. But I think this will be a lot of fun. This will give me a storyline that's going to be very fun for people to watch.
I can't wait. And Michael, look, we're going to have you on again when that new project gets announced. And of course, you get one in the Derby, we'll have you. Thank you so much for what you've done for racing through the series and for taking the time today. Really appreciate it.
And thank you for what you guys continue to do for racing.